Have you ever heard of a man who was both a wanted criminal and a local hero, a Robin Hood true-like with a twist? A figure so powerful, he commanded a private army and held an entire state in Nigeria in a grip of fear and fascination. Sit tight, you've got a ride. This is the story of Terwase Akwaza, better known by his chilling nickname, Gana. For 5 years, from 2015 to 2020, Gana was the most wanted man in Benue State, a name that struck terror into the hearts of many, yet was whispered with a strange kind of respect by others. But who was this man? How did a seemingly ordinary individual rise to become the leader of a notorious militia, a kingpin of crime who eluded capture time and time again? His story isn't a simple tale of good versus evil. It's a complex web of local politics, ethnic tensions, and a desperate search for security in a region plagued by conflict. To truly understand the legend of Gana, we need to go back to the beginning, to the volatile landscape of Nigeria's Middle Belt. The Benue Taraba Nasarawa region has long been a flashpoint for conflict. For decades, nomadic herders and local farming communities have clashed over land and resources. These weren't small disagreements. They were often brutal, violent confrontations that left villages burned and countless lives lost. In this environment of constant fear and instability, the government and its security forces often seem distant, unable or unwilling to provide the protection that people desperately needed. When official help doesn't arrive, people often look for saviors in unconventional places. And that's exactly where Gana's story begins. Initially, Gana wasn't seen as an outlaw. He was perceived by many in his community as a protector, a local strongman who stepped up when the state failed. He was a Tiv man, one of the largest ethnic groups in the region, and he positioned himself as a defender of his people against rival groups and armed herdsmen. He gathered a group of loyal followers, forming a local militia. They were armed, they were organized, and in the eyes of many villagers, they were the only real security they had. Gana became a kind of vigilante, a Robin Hood figure who fought for the common man. His influence grew rapidly. He wasn't just a militia leader, he became an arbiter of disputes, a provider of security, and a political force. It was said that no major political decision could be made in his territory without his blessing. He controlled a vast rural area, operating from a stronghold deep in the forests of Bish, his hometown. This wasn't just a hideout, it was a fortress, a symbol of his power and his defiance of state authority. He ran a parallel government, collecting taxes and enforcing his own brand of justice. But the line between protector and predator is often incredibly thin. As Gana's power grew, so did his criminal enterprise. The very militia that was meant to protect people began to prey on them. Reports started to surface of his gang being involved in kidnapping for ransom, armed robbery, and assassination. They were accused of cattle rustling, the very crime they claimed to be fighting against. The man once hailed as a savior was now being labeled a terrorist. He had become the monster he had sworn to fight. The Benue State government found itself in a difficult position. They were dealing with a man who had deep roots in the community and commanded a significant armed force. A direct military confrontation could lead to massive bloodshed. So, they tried a different approach: amnesty. In 2015, the state government offered a deal to Gana and his men. Surrender your weapons, renounce violence, and you will be pardoned. It was a controversial move, but it seemed to work. In a highly publicized ceremony, Gana and hundreds of his followers emerged from the forest and surrendered a huge cache of weapons. He was officially pardoned and even made a leader of the state's revenue collection task force. It seemed like a fairy tale ending. The outlaw had been brought in from the cold, and peace was finally on the horizon. But the peace was fragile, and it didn't last long. The turning point came in 2016. A key aide to the governor was assassinated, and suspicion immediately fell on Gana. The old accusations resurfaced, and the amnesty deal collapsed. Gana, feeling betrayed and hunted, retreated back into the forest, and this time, he was more ruthless than ever. He declared war on the state. A bounty of 10 million naira, later increased to 50 million, was placed on his head. The man who had been pardoned was now Nigeria's most wanted outlaw. For the next 4 years, a deadly game of cat and mouse unfolded in the forests of Benue. The Nigerian military launched multiple operations to capture or neutralize him. They deployed special forces, conducted airstrikes on his camps, but Gana always seemed to be one step ahead. He had an extensive network of informants and enjoyed the loyalty of many locals who saw him as their only shield against outside threats. He moved like a ghost through the terrain he knew better than anyone. His reign of terror intensified. His gang was linked to a series of high-profile kidnappings and murders, including the killing of traditional rulers, priests, and wealthy businessmen. He became a legend, a phantom that the combined might of the Nigerian military couldn't catch. His elusiveness only added to his myth. Was he just a man, or did he possess supernatural powers, as some of his followers claimed? Then, in September 2020, came the stunning news. After years on the run, Gana had decided to surrender again. This second amnesty was brokered by local community leaders and elders who were desperate to end the cycle of violence. They convinced Gana that this time, the offer was genuine. He agreed. He and his followers were on their way in a government convoy, heading to the state capital, Makurdi, for an official ceremony. It was supposed to be the final chapter, the moment peace was finally secured. But it wasn't to be. What happened next is still shrouded in controversy and dispute. According to the military, they intercepted the convoy and engaged Gana's men in a fierce firefight, during which Gana was killed. However, state government officials and community leaders who were in the convoy tell a very different story. They claim there was no firefight. They say the military ambushed the convoy, pulled Gana out of a car, and executed him in cold blood. The death of Gana sent shockwaves across Nigeria. Was it a successful military operation against a terrorist, or was it an extrajudicial killing of a man who was on his way to surrender? The debate rages on to this day. His death didn't bring the immediate peace that many had hoped for. In the aftermath, there were fears of reprisal attacks from his remaining gang members. While the intensity of the violence has decreased, the root causes of the conflict, poverty, ethnic tensions, and the lack of state security remain. The story of Gana is a cautionary tale. It shows what can happen when the state fails its citizens, creating a vacuum that is filled by figures who offer a twisted form of security. He was a product of his environment, a man who was both a symptom and a cause of the region's deep-seated problems. His life and death raise uncomfortable questions about justice, security, and the very nature of governance in Nigeria. Was he a monster, a folk hero, or something in between? Perhaps the most accurate answer is that he was all of them. A complex, contradictory figure whose violent legacy continues to cast a long shadow over Benue State. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into one of Nigeria's most fascinating and fearsome figures. What do you think about Gana's story? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this video interesting, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more stories from around the world. We'll see you in the next one.